So I swear, every time I start streaming, I open with surprise, but that's because it's a surprise to me more than much else. Um, yeah, okay. I was gonna say I definitely had all of this connected, so don't lie to me. Um, so I have not had the time for this for a few days. I forget exactly how long it's been since the last stream, but I want to say like a week or something stupid. So I apologize. Um, I have cheated a little bit with this, and I've done some of this off stream at random points. Um, so actually, this I had already taken away from the silicone underneath, and I'd trimmed down all the edges and then taped them so that I can handle it without it being sharp or whatever. So, yeah, that's this. I also labeled it the same as this, so I can keep track of what goes with what. I've also definitely used way too much fiberglass for what this is, so I'll remember that for next time, because this is super excessive and totally pointless. But it is what it is. So I will now be taking the silicone away from the original sculpt, and I'm going to see if I can try and keep as much intact as possible, because I get the feeling it's going to be useful to have it. So I also want to try and keep as much of the clay as I possibly can. I'll get rid of any crummy bits, but as much as possible, I want to keep it. I'm just looking for something that I can put all the bits in. Uh, the fairly clean looking container. I'll use that. Why not? So, I'm just going to fiddle with this for a while. It seemed like something that was, pretty easy to stream before going to work, because I do have to go to work. So I don't have a hell of a lot of time. But it's long enough just to faff with this. Couple hours-ish. Maybe not quite that, but around that sort of thing. I have tools I can use for this. Why don't I use them? That seems like it would be sensible. Yeah, that works better. I'm always pretty careful with stuff like this because, again, I'm a material hoarder. So if I can keep stuff, then I'm absolutely going to. I've had all of this clay for literally years. And it works just fine when you warm it up, so whatever, you know? Okay. Trying to be reasonably careful with this, because I don't want to tear anything anywhere. Feels pretty solid. It ought to be. regardless, I'm going to be careful. We'll see how decimated everything is underneath. I'm hoping not particularly. That's my hope. Okay. Okay, it's not horrendous. I mean, this is, this is a mess. That's fine. It's fine. It's now just going to be a lot of cleanup, really. So yeah, that's not too shabby. It's get a better idea of what I'm looking at here. Does smell pretty strongly, but that's whatever. I'm not too fussed about that. Probably just where all the mold release and what have you has been stuck in there forever. It's fair enough. Okay. Yeah, that actually is not horrendous as far as making a mess of the original. I mean, it's definitely still a mess, but I was expecting a bigger mess, so that's not too bad. Because I don't really want to decimate this, not really. I just want to lift it away, sort of as a oneer, and keep it off to one side as a frame of reference when I'm sculpting the blah 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 blah, sculpting the next one. I couldn't decide between another and next, so I kind of went between the two. Also, very tired. Got up this morning. It's like, do I just sleep? Because I'd like to just sleep. But I wanted to finally get around to dealing with this. Because I knew I'd be annoyed if I didn't. So, you know. Now, how much of this can I keep? And how much is covered in crud? This bit's definitely covered in crud. That bit is, that bit isn't. Yeah, there's not going to be an awful lot that happens in this stream, I don't think. Not really. Just going to be dismantling stuff, really. Take that for what you will. Plan is to see if I can kind of use what I've already got here on the opposite side and sort of cheese it a bit. We'll see how lucky I get. And then I'll do basically a test cast of this just to get a load of the muck off of it. So I can brush away a bit, but I'm not going to be able to brush away everything. And most of this is fine to keep. Some bits are kind of grody, but most of it's fine to keep. I'm just going to tidy things up a bit. And then by the next time I'm able to like properly stream some stuff, hopefully I can start making some substantial progress again. Deals with most of that. It's no good. How am I going to get to you? Probably issue out this. Kinda. Don't really want to have to get flyers in here. That's a pain in the ass. Shit. Let's move some stuff out the way real quick. Move some stuff and fiddle with some other stuff. I'm gonna try and get all of the pins out. And I should just be able to lift the whole thing away because it's on cling film anyway. If I untape the cling film, then in theory, I can just pull the whole thing off. That's the plan. That's fine. Okay. So what I'm going to do then is see, I can just untape this. With the nails I don't have. Probably cut a bit, that's fine. Untape this. Okay. Right. This is... Where did I leave you? Oh, you're here now, I remember. Not that you work. Oh, you work enough. Yes. All right. Aha! I have this entire piece in my hands, and nowhere sensible to put it. Okay. That's fine. I just... Oh, okay. I can rest it up there for now. Epic. Right. Then I'm gonna spin this round and have a look at this side. Okay. So my question is, if I were to invert this, would I be able to keep the same sort of thing but flipped? Don't think I can. I think I'm just gonna have to sculpt it from scratch, which is whatever. Okay. Let me try and take off a bunch of the crud from here in the hopes that it's less likely to fold on itself with a bunch of the weight removed, he says. As he's reckless for no reason. Okay. Assess that later. If everything was even, it would be easy. But it ain't. So it ain't. Let me take all this off the back. This is no good to anyone now anyway. As I say, I kind of mostly just want to use this as a reference when I'm sculpting the new one. At least then I've got half an idea. I was wondering if I could just heat it up and kind of bend it over this one. It sounds kind of wacky. It's a question. It kind of remains a question. So I can wiggle off the snaky thing. Help if I used the tool that I dropped on the floor. Snaky thing removed. So I'm then wondering if I can just warm it up and bend it over, basically. Probably not. But it's a question that's worth asking. think if nothing else, I have a frame of reference for the thickness of everything. So I'm inclined to just leave that to chill for a while, really. I have ye olde snaky thing to reference. And then I think mostly just building up the thing. As far as that being vaguely accurate, seems pretty okay. I think it's just when it gets to back here that it becomes its own thing. Because the backs are different. I wanted to use this on here, so I was at least going off of the same thing. So I'd have to move this off. Let me see if I can make something work here with my super tired 2:30 in the morning brain. I don't see how anything could go wrong. I'll just fold it in, screw it. I'm gonna want to stick it in under here. See, they're different. So I wanted to do this. So I can mark where things go. I might be in with half a chance. So let me cook. So I reckon, because that follows the same thing anyway. Don't know. Unless I give it one of these. And then say, just joining this onto here. That. So will that give me the same sort of thing? If that's on there like that, presumably I just join this onto here, this. It should give me basically the right thing. This is going to be the most painful bit, because yeah, that's fine. Because as far as the rest of it goes, I'll be able to model it on finished pieces. So that's going to be fine. Just everything else. Everything else is going to be interesting. Okay. So, do I have anything neon that I'll be able to see. Okay, yep. I can see that. I can see that. So as long as I get it sort of within these lines, I think I'll be okay. Okay. Yeah, I can follow that. That's fine. That is fine. Right. Let me try and get this to work. So you vibe here. You seem pretty okay around there. You can hang. Yeah, that ends up pretty straight in relation to that. So I think that is sensible. And try and keep you pinned back. Gives us to cut a dart up here. Okay. Right. That seems okay. So then, in theory, I just have to drag this back across. Probably retape it, to be honest. That one's alright. Yeah, but then this one's annoying. Okay. Yeah, that was always gonna suck. And I found last time that actually having it too tight made it difficult to sculpt around anyway. So, kinda don't want to do that regardless. So at least then I can get right in where I need to. If I take a bunch off of from down here, and just tape that over there, and that's then no biggie. Okay. I can then get in and around in all the places I need to. All I really care about. Throat is really gummy. Everyone at work has been ill. I mean, touch wood, I don't tend to get ill. I just get inconvenienced slightly. Okay. So that's a plus. Still wondering if I can cheese this. I'll just warm it up. That's what I'm wondering. I think maybe if I cut all of the edges off, I have to remember what goes where. It fits on like that, but, you know, not that way around. Hum. Maybe I do just keep this as it is for now. Make that a future me conundrum. Let me go through my scraps and see what is salvageable. And that's pretty much all of this looks fine. Just little chunks of silicon stuck in places. Which is whatever, really. Gonna wind up all over my hoodie. Yeah, whatevs. That's all fine. That's all fine. I can go dump all of this in the slow cooker. I'm not going to get the chance to do anything major to this until Sunday. And even then, I'm not sure how long I'll actually be able to spend on it. I'll have to see what else I've got to get sorted out. I've only got one day off, and then I'm back to work for a couple of days. Again. So I'll get as much as I can done. But I'm not sure how much that'll actually end up being. I did have a really good tidy up of the garage, though, off stream. I cleaned this plastic mat off, and I vacuumed everywhere, cleared out all the dust, cleaned the tray I'd been fiberglassing in. So everything is at least kind of set up for the next round of stuff. Which is pretty huge, to be honest. Because that's usually the kicker, is trying to organize the chaos. Fairness, this isn't too bad. That's a little bit cruddy. Most of it's salvageable. Just get the worst of it all. It's not worth it. Right. It's then all slow cookerable. Should probably be my Sunday, to be fair. Okay. Let me have a look at this and just trying to tidy it up a little bit. I can take off all the really gross edges. That's fine. You whack this up out of the way. Trying to bap any of my cameras because they will just stop working. The slightest touch. Don't need this actually. Okay. This just reeks of mold release. That's funny. Where is that dustpan and brush? I'll use the paintbrush that I've been using to dust my desk off, which I think is this one. Yeah, pretty sure. Since, you know, I've just tidied everything up. Kind of want to maintain the vague cleanliness of everything. Especially when it comes to actually sculpting stuff again. Because there's a surprising amount of crud that comes away when you demold everything. Yeah, crud. I'm gonna need that again at some point. Just leave it chilling for now. So I kind of want to just go through and make this less disgusting along the edges. I don't want to trim away a whole bunch, because obviously I need it so that the fiberglass jacket fits everything the way that it should. But I can just kind of take away like the super crummy edges, because they upset me. So I'll just do that real quick. Feeling slightly better about being awake. I think it's just the meds kicking in, really. Maybe it's also the potential for progress. It's been a few days and I haven't been able to work on this, and I've been kind of bummed out about it. Couldn't work on it on my days off the other day because I had to wait in for a parcel on one of them, and then the other one I spent tidying up. So, you know, kind of ends up pretty limiting. which sucks, but it is what it is. Okay. I can get a brush on this again. Because it's everywhere. Okay. Get rid of that. That's then whatever. Okay, slightly less disgusting. Get rid of some of these. As long as I'm not cutting away any of the mold keys, which I'm not. Just so many grotty bits. Don't need that. Don't need that. That's just from where the nails were. Which I knew would be a thing anyway, so whatever. This is so unimportant. I don't know why I feel the need. But here I am. Just annoys me. And then what I think I'll do is try and clear away as much of the crud that's actually in this as possible. I'm not super sure how best to approach it. So I don't want to whack anything in here that's going to inhibit the eventual cure of anything. So the way I've cleaned molds out in the past is literally just with a test cast. So I'll just mix up some fast cast, whack it in there, leave it, peel it out, and peel out a load of crap with it. That's how it usually goes. And then because it's just a test, it's, you know, it's whatever. I'm not super bothered with how it actually turns out. It's more just as a means of cleaning the thing. At least it's looking substantially less disgusting. That's the only trouble with silicone, is it tends to catch all the dust and crud and just get covered in muck really easily. So if I can just try and make it a little less grim, that would be great. Especially given that along these edges, like, it doesn't matter. Not really. They're so far away from the actual sculpt, it's whatevs. also really satisfying to cut it, so... This is wholly unnecessary, by the way. This is mostly just to make my brain a little bit happier. It does get crap everywhere, so... It'd be nice if I had some smaller scissors that were sharper. Could do a much nicer job. But if I can get rid of some of the flaky bits, it should trap less crud in it anyway. So I think when I do this again, tinfoil mold wall is fine, but it needs to be covered with something. So like tinfoil and cling film, cool. Yeah, sure. But tinfoil on its own just made a mess. But that's why I try stuff. Because I've not done this in such a long time that I don't remember how I did it all last time. I think I did do tinfoil, but I covered it completely in clay rather than leaving any of it. So I definitely didn't have a problem with it last time. I definitely need to find some sharper scissors. Make my life considerably easier. Don't know what else is actually out here. Less, can I... The sharpening stone work on scissors? I don't see why it wouldn't. Because these are blunt as all hell. Where is it? All the way over here. Okay. Let me see if I can do anything with this real quick. I'm doing it off cam because I'm holding the blades open. It just looks really sketch. I don't want to be accused of teaching anyone to do bad things. I wonder if that will help at all. It'll either help or I'll have made it a whole bunch worse. So we'll see. I can't tell. That's fine. No, it seems better. Actually seems better. Good for me. At least I can cut away some of the terrible fluffy bits. Probably gonna have to try and vacuum the rest rather than brush it, because I think brushing it is just not gonna cut it. So that's whatever, I suppose. I'm gonna purposely avoid getting too close to where the actual sculpt is with any of my faffing, because no, I'm sticking to the outer edges with this. And even then, only really like the thick outer edges. I just want to try and get less crud trapped in various places. Really, that's all. Like, down here is actually not too bad. Looks grim, but as far as being a future me problem, less so. Definitely help if I had shorter, sharper scissors. No, can I brush any of this? Okay, no, I can. I can brush it off the scissors fine. Okay, that's considerably less annoying than it was. Okay, now that I've sharpened the ends, actually, I can kind of do some stuff with that. This is just where the tinfoil was, is obnoxious. And it's gonna trap a load of crud in it. If I can just smooth it off, it'll feel better. It also takes out a load of the clay with it, which is nice. It's just covered in crap. Eventually I'll run some tape along it to get, like, the worst of the dust actually off. But for now, it's like, it's just gonna keep getting covered in shit until I've finished cleaning it up, so whatever, really. It's kind of just meh. As I say, I'm not gonna get much done this morning. It's mostly just kind of setting up as best I can for, I guess, a test cast, really. If I can clear out as much clay and muck as possible beforehand, and hopefully the test cast will get rid of the rest of the worst of it. And that will solve a few problems, in theory. Okay. I'm definitely going to wind up fixating on this for literally no reason. I think it's mostly just I'm annoyed that I can't do more. I literally can't. Like, I just don't have the time. I am tempted to run a test cast. How long would it take me? Just to mix up some fast cast and whack. Well, but then I've got to, like, flush cast it, so I just have to stand here. So, maybe not. Maybe not. maybe I'm forced to be sensible here. Very much against my will. Okay. Maybe I spend my time trying to pick away the clay that's stuck in here instead, rather than faffing with totally inconsequential edges. Because I'll be here forever, to be honest. And it doesn't matter. Really, really doesn't. I just hate having all the bits of stuff stuck in here. It's annoying. I don't like it. So, let me be vaguely productive. What can I feasibly get out of here? Okay, actually, I can make some pretty significant progress here. I'll have to be really careful, because I don't want it to mess with what I've got underneath. Actually, I can get quite a lot of this off, which is nice. Yeah. Okay, that's doable. And then if I try and lift it off rather than brush it off, that didn't work. My theory was, oh, I can have it spread around everywhere less. Nah. As if I'd be so lucky. Being extremely careful. So that I'm not actually digging into anything. I'm literally just running this over. Because the last thing I want to do is end up damaging this. I wonder if I can brush it. Will that help? Oh yeah, okay, it definitely will. Cool. So I can't go in here with a wire brush for obvious reasons. So I can just kind of get rid of the worst of it and then brush it off with a paintbrush. It's not as bad. Okay, well, I don't mind spending my time doing this. This is fine. Just the mold release fumes. Oh well. It could be worse. You have to keep a casual eye on the time. Still got an hour or so that I'm able to hang for. But past that, not so much. I can at least lift a bunch of this. then when I do test cast it, it should just be getting rid of the little bits that get caught in various places. This is fine. This is one of those things that I could actually spend an unreasonably long amount of time doing. This is one of those stick on a YouTube playlist and chill sort of activities. It's whatever. I don't mind. At least I can feel better knowing that I've made some progress. It's one of those things, like, it doesn't feel like progress because you have to faff with a load of stuff. And then it's annoying because it's, well, this took me 2 hours and nothing happened. Yes, that's how this works. You'd think I'd done stuff like this enough times now to realize that's how this works. You kind of have to take the rough with the smooth on that one. Because the more time you sink into the setup, the less time the execution takes. So it's a double-edged sword. Because on the one hand, it means that when you do contend with the end result, it happens really quickly, and you're like, whoa, that's great, awesome. But it also means that your expectations are skewed. Because you look at it and go, but that was so quick, and why isn't the rest of it? It was only quick because you put the time in to begin with. I have to keep reminding myself that, realistically. I know it's a cliche, but it very much is a marathon over a sprint. That is definitely the case. Definitely, the more effort you put in along the way, the quicker and easier you'll get decent results. It's always the setup. The setup should always be the bit that takes the longest. Now, I'm not going to expect to get literally every tiny bit off of here, because that's what the test cast is for. But if I can get the worst of it, in theory, the rest can kind of sort itself. At some point, I need to try casting more from my big mold. Just because it's fun. I've not made one for ages. Be a fun thing to do on stream. So gonna wind up with RSI. It, every time I have a major cosplay project, I wind up with RSI. Because I'm too intently kind of faffing with stuff for too long. I think streaming's been better for that because it means that I've been doing stuff in bursts rather than literally all day. Well, ish. It's kind of been an incentive to do sort of mini sessions before work, which then ultimately means I have to spend less time on longer sessions. So, really, it's objectively a good thing. All right, I'm making progress. Like this bit here is now considerably less scuffed than the bits I've not got to yet. So, you know, so that's fine. I need to keep this at an angle so I'm not cutting into anything. So I can't do the edges without flipping it a little bit because it'd be too pointy and I'd risk damaging stuff. And I don't care whether you'll see it or not. I'll know it's there, so I won't be messing it up, thank you. Not if I can help it. The less work I can give future me, the better, realistically. Ooh, and I have to remember. Actually, no, I don't. I've set an alarm, haha. But there's a trailer out for a new release from Ghost. At 5 this morning, it's gonna drop. So I always feel very smug about things like that, because I'll be awake. Ha ha ha. Doesn't matter to me. Choking on water. That's what I get for being smug about my scuffed sleep schedule. It's just wildly inhuman. I don't know, I'm used to it now. I enjoy the peace. Those that know me will know that I actually hate being social. You wouldn't think it when I'm in my element, but I don't know, maybe hate is a strong word. I require initial solitude, and then I can contend with most things. And I use contend loosely. Okay, it's better than it was. Let me try and get these edges. Now these are of no consequence, because they're not really part of the area that gets seen. So, like I said, I'll know it's there. So regardless, I kinda wanna sorta fix it, really. To be honest. This is where having kind of flaky surfaces is a super irritating element. It means I'd need to kind of twist things around to try and get in there without accidentally cutting into anything. Keep going to, like, wipe this tool against my trousers, because that's what I usually do. Because I'm just in, like, casual trackies or whatever. But I'm in my work trousers, so if I could not do that, that would be great. Not that it matters a whole bunch, but even so. Like, I can just dust it off, but it is a habit. Just cleaning stuff against my thigh and then moving on. Okay, well, hopefully I'll be able to get this whole thing tidied up enough to then bust out a test cast the next time I'm here, which will be Sunday. It's tomorrow morning. I need to hit the gym and check in with my PT. And then I've got work, so, you know. But I like working weekends. I feel like that's a really unsavory opinion. But I do. I like working weekends. It's quieter. No management in, no office people. I can just actually get on with it with no interference. And things go wrong on the day, okay, well, it's then solely my decision as to how I fix it. Good. Just let me do it. Let me do the thing. The weekends are fine. Last weekend I was working both days. This weekend it's just the Saturday. It's extremely therapeutic. I could quite easily get lost in the source here. Unfortunately, I don't have time. So I shall have to settle for just doing as much as is sensible. And then dipping out. I'll have to leave around 4 so that I can go sort my hair out and, you know, pack my lunch, actually get ready for work. It's like, yeah, I remember my work clothes, but, you know, in a pinch, I could just run out the door, but I'd rather, like, properly sort everything out first. It's leagues better than it was. So I feel better about it already. Let me try and get in with some of these. This is going to be the harder bit here. Again, I'm trying to make sure I'm not accidentally cutting into anything. I feel like vacuuming this would actually be kind of helpful. Like a brush attachment. But it's also not quite 3:30 in the morning, so I don't think I'll do that. I feel like that wouldn't be the most civilized thing. If it were just me on a big plot, no one else around, absolutely. Be doing all sorts of this time in the morning. The neighbors are literally joined. Well, I mean, they're kind of literally joined-ish. They're very close. So I need to be fairly considerate. Places. And then once I've actually run a test cast, I'll end up storing this in like a plastic bag so it doesn't get a load of crap stuck in it. It absolutely will. Like this stuff is just a magnet for dust and shit. So my other mold is in a bin bag because it is huge. I'll probably do something kind of similar for this, to be honest. I'll see what I can find. There'll be various bits and pieces. So I'd rather not cling film it because that is also a dust magnet with the static. So it ends up being kind of a one-time use thing, which defeats the purpose. So it's probably just going to be a bin liner. Not just label everything like I do. I know what's what. And then I need to think on Sunday I'll have to sleep, which is annoying because that takes away a chunk of time. But I shall have no choice. I will need to sleep. So I won't get around to this until slightly later in the day. Which right off the bat is frustrating. But when I say slightly, I do mean slightly. Like, I still intend to be going for this, what, maybe around 7? So it's not horrendous, but it will very much be a sort of blink into consciousness and chug my meds and go and contend with the rest later. Okay, I can definitely get all of the worst of this dealt with this morning. So then Sunday, yeah, I'll just probably bang out a test cast just to really clean it up. It'll also help to highlight any imperfections that I've got in the mold itself. That's for my own reference. Because there'll be things. There are always things. It's just how much those actually matter. Which in this instance, probably not a whole bunch, really. Carefully fish that out of there. Or okay. This is looking pretty okay, actually. I don't hate this a whole bunch. The test cast will give me some idea on depth and thickness as well. This isn't too bad. Isn't too bad. I was debating whether I had time to try and run a test cast before work. I definitely don't. Because it would have been a waste if I'd done it before scraping out the worst of it. It just, there'd still be so much left in there. It's like, why even bother? At least this way, hopefully, I'll actually be getting out the worst of it. These bits are going to be a faff. Trying to find the best angle so I'm not cutting into anything by accident. I'll leave the fiddly bits for a second. Deal with the rest of this first. So I might as well done the rest of it. Actually, I've got a couple of molds that I've not used for a while. I made the Deku scrub mask from Majora's Mask years ago, and I've only ever made one cast from it. And I gave it to a mate of mine whose favourite Zelda is Majora's Mask. And I just haven't made any other casts, so I kind of just need to use that at some point. There's no reason not to be honest. Other than, time. Keep meaning to set up an online shop of some descript and just like actually start stocking some of the things I get up to. I've got a bunch of bits and pieces. Shipping is just one of those things that panics me. I'm not super sure how it all works. And I don't really want to be like only shipping stuff within the UK. Because that just sucks. That's such a limited pool of people. And I'd feel really bad about it. So there's a lot of stuff that I need to look into but I've needed the time, and that's something I never seem to have. I know growing up, I always thought, like, why do so many people pay other people to do easy things? Now that I am an adult with adult responsibilities, I understand. It's purely a case of having the time and not. I mean, obviously, there are some people who have more money than sense, but for the most part, it is just it's like washing your car, right? I always looked at that and was like, just do it yourself. But it is so much less hassle to pay someone else or a team of people to deal with it. And if you don't have the time to deal with stuff like that, fair enough, really. I mean, I don't drive, so, doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but as an example, like, now I get it. It's just a time factor. You can drop that off in, say, a shopping center, go grab various bits and pieces, and by the time you come back, yep, cool, done, epic. Does just make sense. Okay, in fairness, I've nearly got this to a decent state. This isn't too bad. Alright, I'm gonna duck out real quick to go get some more water because I've been putting it off. But it's a thing that I should do, so let me BRB real quick, and then I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. I hung about to chat to my nan for a bit. She's up getting breakfast, so you know, because we're both insane. I think a lot of my madness comes from her, to be honest. In fairness, this is not in a bad condition now. Certainly a lot better than it was. So, I reckon I'll faff with it a little bit more. Then once I've got the worst of it off, that's kind of just it for now, to be honest. Because it'd be about the right sort of time anyway. So that's fine. Oh, the fiddly bits. How do I approach these without causing any damage? I think this will be fine. I wonder if I'll end up having time after work tomorrow to deal with any of this. Probably not, to be honest. Probably won't. I think I need to stop getting ahead of myself. I'm fairly bad when it comes to overcommitting. Let's just assume I won't be doing anything to this tomorrow, because I probably won't. It seems very unlikely. I'll probably be thinking about it all day, and then get in and realize that I'm knackered and can't do anything. That's how these sorts of things tend to go. That's slightly better. That's while I deal with this. So this has actually been a pretty quick and easy cleanup. It's going to be a lot worse dealing with the other pieces, because there are way more details on the other pieces. Like, this is pretty just flat and whatever. But the other stuff is gonna be interesting. Definitely interesting. That's a future me problem. Be mad about it when it happens. Whatever. This bit doesn't matter, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm here. So I might as well. Okay. Then I need to not get too OCD with it. Because that's why there's a test cast. It's fine. That will clear out most of the rest of the crud. So, yeah. Just have to get rid of the worst offenders. Which I kind of mostly have at this point, in fairness. And in pretty good time, all things considered. Okay, this is way better than it was. This whole bit up here is grim, but oh well. It really matters not. That is considerably better, actually. This whole thing is considerably better than it was to start with. Yeah. Actually, on cam, it looks fine. Cool. In person, it's more of a mess, but on cam, it looks pretty decent. So, cool. Go with that. I mean, if I were being honest about it, I don't know how well that comes across on cam. What about this one? Does it work better on this one? Maybe slightly. Kind of. Yeah, ish. Main thing is, better than it was. All I really care about. I've got to see how it sits in the jacket. Which side is this? This side. Out of interest, if I hold it up against me. Oh, that's totally workable. Awesome. Yeah. That's totally fine. I'm just thinking if it comes to it and I don't quite like the fit, That's something else I can test with the test cast. Is it against me? I don't quite think it's tight enough to me. And I've got the option to make plaster jacket while I have the silicone actually against me. So there are plenty of options if I deem them necessary. It shouldn't be an issue because everything's been modeled on a duct tape dummy of me. So it should be fine anyway, but if for whatever reason it ends up not fine, then I got options, so whatever. I can do various things and stuff, so it's fine. Yeah, it's a pretty good nick, to be honest. It's not the absolute worst. Now, in terms of it fitting in the jacket, let me go get that. This is that. This should then just slot in there, which it do. So realistically, do I need to have the very outer? Well, I mean, yeah, because it holds it against those. What these? Yeah, it's good to just have them there. I don't think I need this entire slab. Yeah, this actually sits really nicely in there. Like that doesn't really move from where it is, which is great. This top chunk, kind of unnecessary. So getting crud stuck to me. Is this just me being a neat freak, to be honest? Like, there's no reason to finesse or even attempt to finesse any of these edges. It's purely because it just bothers me personally. Just having big unnecessary chunks of stuff kicking about. It's fine. Still far enough away from the main sculpt that it matters not. Matters not. Everything sits where I'd want it to, so that still latches onto there, which is fine. So I can afford to take off a little bit from here. What is the time? Oh, it's just gone 4. Okay. Well, I'll have to go imminently but I've managed to get more done than I thought I would, which is always nice. Yeah, that needs to hook on there. This chunk is still excessive. Okay, that's better. Just makes me happier when it's neater, what can I say? It's also easier to clean when it's lots of little flat surfaces rather than gross, I don't know, scrunchy bits. Just offends me slightly less, which I think is a net plus. But at least then, when I do get around to contending with the rest of this, that's considerably better. I just mix up some fast casting, crack on, really. I kind of. Be nice if I could use the very ends of my scissors, but I've been banned. They are too blunt. Maybe it's just a case of sharpening them. Let me cook. Let me give that a go. Not there for now, because I'm probably going to need it again. And I get in here with the ends now. Kinda. Kinda almost. There we go. That's fine. It'd be easier with like some nail scissors or something. I have a bunch around the house, but I remember I got some specifically for this. Do I have a bunch in my toolbox? Because I feel like I did. Let me move this light out of the way. I swear down I had a set of tiny scissors specifically for this purpose. Where would I put them? Don't immediately see them. Definitely had some at some point. If they're not in here, maybe they're in like a pen pot or something. That sounds like something I'd do. It seems vaguely sensible. And I've also forgotten. So that is all indicative of me behaviors. Aha! Okay. Yep. Alright, they're over here. Alright, well, something to the effect of better late than never. Yes. Hopefully this will be easier. Nope, these suck. What about these? These seem pretty decent. Oh yeah, these have a curve on them as well. Nice. Okay. So hopefully these will be better. No. Cool. That's fine. It's alright. I'm just banned, apparently. 4:15 is probably fine. I mean, I've got most of my stuff organized already, so I'm not too phased. I really thought that these would be more helpful than they are. Get a little bit off, but not a whole bunch. Which was kind of the point of this. So maybe I do bits and pieces. That still hooks where it's supposed to, which is the main thing. This is literally just to try and remove some of the copious amounts of excess. Because it is just a massive clump that doesn't need to be there. Okay. That is an awful lot better than it was, particularly around there. In here, it's still pretty thick. Let me see if I can fix that. Again, there's no practical reason to do this. It's just because it's bothering me on a personal level. And now you're working. I should definitely eat something before work, but I'm so not hungry. I don't know, maybe that'll change in the next 20 minutes. feel like it's still easier with the bigger scissors, to be honest. It's better. It's still miles away from the actual thing, which is good. That is considerably better. Tidy up a bunch of that. Probably end up vacuuming this as well, to be honest. But ho-hum. All kind of sits where it should and does what it should. This is a big old slab. Well, actually, this bit is probably trimmable also. As long as I'm not messing with how it sits on the jacket, it's not going to matter. So all of that sits completely fine. Trying to get any scissors to work is real interesting right now. Okay, these are starting to decide to work. Yeah, that is way better than it was. Way better. Still pretty thick up there, but not bothered by that, to be honest. Yeah, this is absurd. But ho-hum, just because most of the silicon just ended up running into that one channel up there. Can I use the bigger scissors? Will I be permitted? Kinda. Kinda, sorta-ish. That's better. That's much better. All of that in there kind of needs to stay as it is, to be honest. Or to get rid of a little bit. But for the most part, sort of needs to stay as is. Okay. Realistically, this isn't a bad sesh. Got a fair amount done, tidied up, ready to use, basically. Or ready to use for the test run. Yeah, that all hooks on there. So that needs to stay where it is. And all of that really does just need to stay exactly as it is, because it's kind of too thin to do much else with. Along this very, very top edge. But beyond that, it needs to stay put, really. Hooks in there, and that's fairly thin. I say fairly because it's still pretty thick, but thinner than the other bits that I've been able to justify faffing with. So, you know. See that bit? Super thin. Okay. That's all still fine. That's still obscenely thick. Is also pretty thick, but then there's also a mold key in there, so kind of don't want to stick with that too much. Not really. That all more or less needs to stay as it is. It's too close to the sculpt anyway. That needs to stay as it is. Okay. I guess that's kind of sort of it, really. As far as how neat I can make anything. Again, it's so inconsequential. I'm just myself, and I feel the need to try and tidy things up. Wholly unnecessary. There you go. Okay. Some of these. Hopefully, everything's in a reasonably good position when I come to running a test cast. So, mwahaha. Pretty okay. Pretty okay for a work day. Okay. So, kind of that for now, to be honest. So I managed to talk myself into staying slightly longer. Didn't take much convincing, realistically, but here we are. Put those scissors back. Tidy up everything I can. Probably vacuum all of this before I start sculpting anything again. As far as casting stuff, it's whatever. May actually put a bin liner down when I'm casting stuff, because I kind of don't want to get the clay mat covered in crud. Then it's easy to pick fast cast off once it's set anyway, so maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe it just actually doesn't matter. Because once everything's cured, it's fine. Okay. Well, I have a thing. I have a thing that sits in another thing pretty solidly, actually. So, cool. That's that for now, really. I have to go get ready for work and deal with whatever the day brings. But Sunday, I will be back to run a test cast and maybe start sculpting the next one. I'll see. I'll see how I feel. See what I think is sensible. But until then, catch you guys in a bit. So, see ya.